Let's talk about where and how to find glass for your microwave kiln. Welcome to the Upcycled Design Lab. My name's Cindy and I craft using recycled and repurposed materials to give you ideas on ways to make and create more sustainably and economically. And one of my favorite tools to use for upcycling is my microwave kiln. So I do want to just be clear that my glass recommendation is specifically for this microwave kiln. Once you get into larger kilns, there are some different concerns that you have with the glass, and my experience is exclusively with this smaller kiln. If you're not familiar with microwave kilns, they are exactly what they sound like. They're small kilns that actually go in your microwave and heat up to fuse small pieces of glass. So they're a very simple tool. They come in just two pieces. This top part is the heating element and the bottom part is the base. This smaller portion is the working area. So you can see that the working space is quite small, but this is a great little tool if you're just getting started with fusing or you want to just sort of test it out and try something new. You don't have to commit to buying a big expensive kiln or a lot of expensive glass. You can buy different kiln kits or you can buy singular kilns, and they're all pretty much the same. I have a couple of different kilns, and I will say that the FuseWork kiln does heat up a little faster than this cheaper brand that I bought. So I will put a few links to the kilns that I'm familiar with in the description. If you're interested, you can check those out. And the FuseWorks kiln is certainly a little bit more expensive, but you can find some of the lower end kilns for under $30 sometimes, but certainly in the $40 range if you're interested in starting to learn about fusing glass. Some other tools that you might need are a bottle cutter, a scoring tool, but the main tool that I use is these wheeled tile cutters. As I mentioned, the working surface of these kilns is quite small, and I've certainly used them to make mostly jewelry pieces. But I've also made a wind chime and some glass garden markers. So if you use your imagination, you can probably come up with some other ideas for using this kiln. So there are three types of glass that you can use in your microwave kiln. You can certainly purchase new glass. And if you want a broad variety of colors and opacities and mixes of colors, then that's probably what you're going to want to do, is buy some new glass. But if you've followed my channel at all, you know that I like to reuse and repurpose. So I've really only fused recycled glass in my microwave kiln. So I thought I would talk a little bit about where you can find glass to recycle. So I've broken down recycled glass into two categories. The first one is salvaged glass and the other one is thrifted glass. And I've used primarily the salvaged glass, which is your empty wine bottles, liquor bottles, beer bottles. I've also used some broken glass from picture frames and things like that to fuse a lot of the pieces that I've made. Now, you are a little bit limited in your color choices, but if you keep your eyes open, you can usually find some nice green colors, yellow. Generally speaking, white wines are in clear bottles, but if you look closely, you can still find some Chardonnays in nice yellow bottles. So if you like Chardonnay, you can probably find some nice yellow. Some of the vodkas come in dark blue and light blue colored bottles, and some of the Cabernets are in green bottles. And then you can kind of find a variety of different browns and kind of yellow colors in some of your wine and beer bottles as well. Now, it can be a little tricky to tell what color the glass is sometimes when the liquid is still in the bottle. So you may have a surprise where you think you got one color and it ends up a different color. So definitely buy the beverage that you want and don't worry so much about the glass. But it is certainly something that you can pay attention to, and you may be pleasantly surprised by some really pretty colored glass once you have emptied out the liquid. One other thing about the salvaged glass is that you can be fairly confident that the glass is actually colored and not tinted, which I'll talk about in a minute when we talk about some of the thrifted items that you might find. So the benefits of the salvaged glass are that it's free or very economical, and it is also very consistent in color. Some of the drawbacks are that it is a little bit limited in your color choices, and certainly if you're comparing it to purchasing glass, you're working with different thicknesses and you could be working with curved pieces, whereas if you buy purchased glass, you are going to get nice flat little pieces of glass to work with. The other type of glass that I've used is thrifted glass. And this is more along the lines of dishes or vases. Sometimes you'll find wine glasses that have some color to them. And with thrifted items, you have even more variety in your shapes, thicknesses, and textures. So they can be a little trickier to work with. I normally try to avoid anything that's very, very thick or has a lot of texture or is super thin. So be extra careful when you're looking at thrifted glass. The other problem you can have with thrifted glass is that it's tinted and not colored glass. And you'll see this mostly in vases, and also if you find colored mason jars, I've seen them a lot in that. And one way to be able to tell that you have a tinted glass and not a colored glass is that the bottom will be clear. So if you have a piece of glass where the color isn't going throughout, be very careful about trusting that to be colored glass versus tinted glass. And if you do end up with tinted glass, your color will just burn off in the microwave kiln. So some of the benefits of using thrifted glass are obviously the price point is usually very reasonable, and you can also find some different colors than you can find in the salvaged bottle glass. The final thing I want to mention is a little bit about the coefficient of expansion. It's called the glass COE, and if you buy glass, you'll see a number that corresponds with the COE of the glass. Now, conventional thinking is that you should only fuse glass together that has the same coefficient of expansion. But if you're using recycled glass, you won't know the coefficient of expansion. Now, a lot of times I'm not mixing my glass colors, but I have mixed the glass and I have not had any issues with cracking or breaking. Having said that, I think it's because I'm working with very, very small pieces. And certainly if you are working with big pieces of glass, you would want to pay much more attention to all of the nuances of fusing glass. But the microwave kiln is a very beginner fusing glass tool. And I can only say that the glass that I have fused has always been recycled. I've never known the coefficient of expansion, and I've had some failures and some successes in the kiln, just like anybody else who is fusing glass. So if you're concerned about the coefficient of expansion, you're definitely going to want to use purchased glass where you know the COE of the glass. But I can tell you that my experience with my microwave kiln and using recycled glass has been a very positive one where I've come up with plenty of failures, but also a lot of successes. I hope you found this information helpful, and if you'd like to check out some of the projects that I've made using my microwave kiln, click one of the links below. You can also find additional resources as well as a place to sign up for the Upcycle Design Lab newsletter linked in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you back here soon in the lab for my next experiment.